Hey, what's up, mediums? It's May 4th, 2017. It's episode 35 of season 2. Welcome to another episode of Thursday Night Live here on Keystroke Medium. I am Josh Hayes, here as always with my co-host Scott Moon, and tonight Jason Anspach, the author of Till Death and the co-creator of the Galaxy's Edge universe with Nick Cole, joins us to talk about his writing journey. He's been writing and publishing since 2015. Jason, welcome to the show, and may the 4th be with you.
Thank you. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, that was coming. Thank you for having me on.
I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget.
May the 4th be with you.
Midichlorians ever grow.
Oh, no, it didn't. No.
It's back with midichlorians. Coming out swinging.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Well done. Good stuff.
Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with us on this May the 4th. Terry and JR and Lauren are hanging out in the chat. Terry and JR were actually having a fight on Facebook before I could get the link up. So they're preempting the live show now with chat. Chuck here, he says hi. Welcome, guys. We're excited for the show, and we're excited for you guys to be here. Scott, like we like to do every week on Thursday, tell us a little bit about what you had going on this week, buddy.
Well, I had a great week. I capped it off with nearly dying of some sort of cold flu thing, which now I'm all jacked up on Sudafed or whatever. So I should be good for the show. I don't want to talk too much about what I did last week, but I did want to do something a little bit different. The other day I woke up with a urban fantasy kind of boiling out of my head, and I'm going to start a new one. But I'm going to do a little more pre-planning. And so what I'm looking for is some names of characters and a name of a city, because I think I'm going to go with a fictional city. So anybody that's in the live chat who comes in, you think of a good urban fantasy-esque female character name. So she's kind of a tough as nails. Like, I don't know, it would be Clint Eastwood would be right, maybe Harry Bosch, but just a real tough, smart female protagonist. She may be a little bit older than the normal urban fantasy characters, but so it's going to be kind of a low magic urban fantasy set in what could be Los Angeles if they never had cell phones. That's what we got so far. So if you want to throw something in the chat, I'd be glad to see it.
Nice.
I have some sample names, but I didn't want to share those because one, they're probably dumb, and I didn't want to skew the suggestions. So what about you, Jason? You got some stuff going on?
Yeah. So I actually finished up my final revision of Legionnaire, the first kind of Galaxy's Edge prequel novel that's going to drop on June 1st. And that's going to go to our editor, David Gatewood, on the 9th of May. And so, yeah, we're rolling along with that. Nick and I had a nice planning session for Galaxy's Edge. And so we've plotted out years worth of material in story, at least. Hopefully it won't take us that long to write it, but that's been about it. Yeah, just got back from the wildlife park with the family today. Had a nice little trip out and watched the black bears, and so it was a good day.
Oh, very cool.
What did the black bears do?
Yeah, they just kind of scratched themselves inappropriately.
So it's like watching Scott and Josh on.
Excuse me, I am not that hairy.
Hold on a second. I actually am that hairy, but I can just leave that in the bear park.
I can imagine story planning with Nick Cole can get a little carried away.
Yeah, it can be interesting, and you hear the word groovy a lot. Groovy, let's do it.
Groovy makes everything better.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's his go-to. Groovy.
So, you guys do you practice the yes and method,
which I've used almost every day since you guys said that on our show, and it really is pretty amazing to think that way.
Yeah, it's a challenge if you're not used to it, but it opens up a lot of possibilities. And a great example is he had this arc and the idea that involved Captain Keel, one of the main characters from Galactic Outlaws. And I said, well, why would he do that? He's like, that's your job to figure out. I don't know why you do that, but that's the challenge. You got to figure out why this works. And so that's how we operate. If we say this is the way it's going, that's the way it's going. But the story ends up getting stronger for it.
Nice. I first, when you brought that up the first time, the yes and I can't remember if it was you and Nick on the show, or I can't even remember when it was first brought up, but since then, like Scott and I used it on a couple short stories we plotted out, and then we started talking about a fantasy project that's kind of on hold right now, but still in the wind. But we did it for that too, and it was amazing, and it took a little bit to get into it because you're so used to hearing an idea. Maybe it's an idea that you don't like, and you're like, no, let's do this. But if you do but what if, it keeps the conversation going, and it just kind of stokes that fire a little bit more than just saying no. You say no too many times, or you hear no too many times, and then your creative juice is just kind of
right. Yeah, no, it totally dies.
fade.
Well, and but kind of has the word but in there. Yes, but it's kind of like, yeah, but you're stupid is what I hear sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, but Scott, that's a dumb idea.
Horrible idea.
But
and there's times where the but is, but that will undo the past 8 chapters. So maybe we need to think of something else. But for the most part, it works.
There was a phrase at the Smarter Artists that reminds me of that, where they basically said you need to have a bunch of different things, but one of the things you need to have to be successful is somebody to tell you no. Mm-hmm. And so I could see maybe somebody in, like when you're doing those really aggressive story planning, and that there might be a point where you need to throw in a no. So
right, yeah.
Negative.
Yeah, no, and that is a challenge. And also working with a guy like Nick, who's won awards and has a huge following in his own right. That was one of the things we talked about earlier is, you got to be willing to say that's stupid and I won't mind. And so I don't think I've ever told him that's stupid, but there's been plenty of times where I've taken his outline and put like big red pencil marks in between, like, no, this is better. And generally if it's better, he sees it because he's a good storyteller.
Right.
And you're like, that's groovy, but
it's groovy. We're going to throw that one out and it's going to go to another story. Yes. And that's going to the next one.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's great, but that's the plot for Pokemon. That's not going to work.
Hey, it's a known market,
That's right.
That's what we're going for. Special edition.
Yeah.
Special edition. Yep. All right. Well, I'm like triple tasking here, and I'm not really that sharp anyway because I've not been feeling well, as I mentioned earlier. So I threw out that little bit, hoping to make sure we get lots of interaction with our already rowdy live chat, and it's been quite a mess in there. So we'll talk about that later. So what about you, Josh? Have we got to your week's worth of diabolical activities?
This week was kind of odd for me. I did have there are certain moments during the week when I do things for the show that I'm like banging my head against the keyboard, like I don't want to do this. But then there's also moments when I get emails from people who are saying yes, they want to come on the show, and those people are New York Times bestselling authors, and we got 3 New York Times bestselling authors to come on the show in less than 3 days scheduled. And that was freaking cool to me. Neil Asher, Jack Campbell, and A.G. Riddle are all coming on the show. And that, I mean, I love talking to all the authors we have on the show, but it's just when you get somebody of that high caliber, it's very neat.
It shows an excellent range of guests, people at all different levels. I think that appeals to everybody, but everybody has that person you think, oh, they'll never talk to me.
Yeah. Well, I actually, what's funny is I messaged Timothy Zahn on a dare from Richard Fox, and I was like, I really want to get him on the show. And Richard was like, well, just ask him. I was like, all right, I'll ask him. So I couldn't find an email for him anywhere. So I go on Facebook and I send him a Facebook message. And like an hour later, he sends me a Facebook message back. And he was like, man, I'd really love to, but I can't because I'm overbooked on everything else. And I was like, well, that's cool. But hey, Timothy Zahn sent me a message. So like I call that a win,
Cool. We're counting that one as a win.
And then somehow yesterday, I went to my local homeowners association meeting for my area, and it was the first annual meeting where they're forming the board. And I was like, I'll just go and like hang out and see how it goes. And I left the vice president of the homeowners association. Not sure how it worked out. Sucker. like there you go. And all right, fine. I guess I'm the VP. And so I came home and my wife was sending me text messages like, where are you? I was like, well, it went long. And so I get home and she's like, what happened? I was like, well, You're talking to the vice president of Homeowners Association. Seriously, shut up.
Did they grant you phenomenal cosmic powers?
No, but I do get an itty bitty living space, and that's all I care about. And then in the writing world, I finished. I'm almost done with the edits on this superhero short story I'm working on for Steve Bollier.
You got it first time.
And I'm using the Thalmann method, which was getting an app on your phone that you can text a voice and listen to your manuscript. And so I listen to my manuscript on my phone, and then while I'm listening to it, I'm editing it on the document. So I got a whole bunch of words that you might miss just reading it.
I can't tell you how much I love that method for multiple different reasons. That is a great thing to do.
Yeah. So that was my week in a nutshell. Jason, you've been on the show a couple times before, but if you wouldn't mind just giving our audience members who don't know anything about you or may want to know more, a little bit about yourself and your writing.
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Jason. I live in the Pacific Northwest in Tacoma, Washington. Do you guys know where Tacoma is?
I know where Washington
is.
Well, that's good.
Slug bug, jinx or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, it's just like Seattle, but more expensive. I mean, less expensive, which is nice. You can't get much more expensive than Seattle. But so I just ask because we have big city envy. I don't know how it is with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely get that.
Yeah. So you just kind of tell everybody, yeah, Seattle, because you figure they know where that is at least. But technically Tacoma.
Except there's no place where we can even do that with.
Yeah, it doesn't happen here.
We're so far off the grid. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's all right. What's the closest big city?
Well, Wichita is the big city. The closest big city to that is Kansas City, but that's like 3 hours away.
Kansas.
It's Missouri.
Right. Yeah. So Wichita.
The big part of Kansas City is not in Kansas, which is very confusing.
Sure. But you have like Topeka, right? That's
but Wichita is actually bigger than Topeka.
I'm just saying those are the two cities in Kansas I know. So.
Yeah, they're the only two cities, really.
Dodge City. Hello, Wyatt Earp. Come on, man.
Oh, I thought that was, I guess that's true. I've heard of that one. So I live out there with my family, large family. We've got 6 kids and a border collie to herd them. So that's pretty helpful.
Nice.
I started writing, typically wrote science fiction, actually was brought on to the old Apocalypse Weird project for some shorts that I wrote that didn't end up seeing the light of day. And then between then and now, I decided to write kind of a paranormal urban fantasy called Till Death, which was like a 1950s noir detective series. So ghosts come back and everybody knows it, and it's just a part of life. And so the lead character helps them finish up any loose ends, solve crimes, things like that. Spends a lot of time punching communists, and it's a good old-fashioned tale. So yeah, a lot of commie punching, and it's
love that.
Straight 1950s kind of a Hollywood noir type story. But anyway, I wrote that for fun, just to help deal with some stuff that I was thinking about a lot regarding death and life after death, and it got popular. So then I wrote a few sequels, and finally, as I was kind of feeling a little bit chained to that because people kept asking for more books, I talked to Nick and he said, well, what do you want to write? And I said, well, I want to write Star Wars, but if I keep writing this, they're never going to let me do that. So in his Nick way, he was like, let's write our own Star Wars. And so
it'll be groovy.
It'll be groovy. Yes,
it'll be groovy. Yeah. And then he sent me, 20 thumbs up over Messenger, which if you've ever messaged with Nick.
That's right.
So, yeah. So that's me. Yeah. In a nutshell, a guarded version of me.
It's curious that you've done, your standalone novels and then short stories and now collaborative, and even with collaborative in Apocalypse Weird, kind of. I mean, you were still writing standalone novels, but it was in a joined universe. Do you find that you like doing collaborative work better than working on your own? Yeah, I like both. I think if you can get a mix, that's a good idea. So collaborative work has a nice way of kind of getting you going with your energy. So when we're thinking about Galaxy's Edge, I remember we were talking about why it's a galaxy far, far away, but it's still the same galaxy. That's kind of the idea behind it. And so we're saying, so something happened, and that's kind of how we deal with problems. Well, something happened, and then this.
And so when I do that kind of stuff, I can just get going. So I remember I was taking a shower and spent the entire time thinking about something that happened, and then wrote Nick 3,000 words on the history of the story. And so that works out really well. But then there are times that I need to just kind of go into my own world and build something out. And so Legionnaire, for example, that's just me writing a story that I would have written anyway, but I just adapted it into Galaxy's Edge. And so I kind of like both. I don't think that I would ever want to be exclusively one or the other. It's too much fun to work with other talented people, but also it's maybe not quite as challenging if you're just writing on your own, and if it's totally up to you for the manuscript to stand or fail.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Scott and I have started some collaborative projects, and even just working together. I mean, it's tough, but you still have that kind of, it's not all on me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
and even this other project that I'm working on, we shoot ideas back and forth, and then he says, "Okay, write this," and I'm like, "Okay, cool, I'll do that." And I don't worry about it, because I can just sit down and write it, and it's going to be fine.
It's very interesting. It's like pre-beta, maybe. I don't know. You get feedback right away. You don't maybe go down too many rabbit holes, or like, okay, yeah, that's dumb, Scott. You need to just stop writing the 18,000 words that goes nowhere. Or something, whatever.
TJH now asked about the app that I was talking about when I was doing the text to voice. I'm going to put the link.
Depends on which phone you have.
I'm going to put the link for the iPhone app in the live chat. It's also going to be in the video description when the video with the YouTube link, or the YouTube description goes up. It'll be in there, and then the show notes. But it's a Dream Voice is the app name for Apple.
That's what they've said about me. Dream Voice.
Indeed.
Dream Voice.
Dreamy. And you can set it up for whichever language you want and voice you want. And Scott, I can't remember what the one is.
I don't know how to get the link for this one, but it's at, like, you in Twitter, you have the at whatever sign. So the at symbol, Voice Aloud Reader. It's by Hyperonics Technology LLC. And it's good for Android phones. It works really good.
What's the Voice Aloud Reader you said?
At Voice Aloud Reader. Yeah, and I'm gonna drop it. I wonder if I might be able to drop that in the chat.
I got it.
Okay. Yeah, but it's really good, and I tried some other ones, and the reader mostly pronounces words right. Will pronounce acronyms are kind of funny, but like I have a Star Fleet that's the United Nations of America. It's UNA. Well, it's always saying UNA, the UNA and stuff. But anyway, it's very good, and it's good for just listen to your story. Like I listened to my entire first 40,000 words of my book on the way back on a long drive recently. That was nice to get back into the story, but it's great for proofreading. Like I said.
Yeah, it was short. I mean, it was a 5,000 word piece I was listening to. It was 20 minutes of listening, and it really improved the draft. But getting back to your writing, Jason, on the Galactic Outlaws, or Galactic Edge, rather, Galaxy's Edge, you have for the first part of the novel written, and it's a 2-part deal, and then it's going to go up on Amazon in July, right?
Right. Yeah, that's the plan. We should be able to hit that pretty easily. I think a July release. We actually commit to write about 1,000 words a day, and lately we've been actually blasting right past that. Today, Nick messaged me, and he did like 4,000 words. So we're moving way ahead of schedule with that. But that's a good thing. I think people have been waiting for it to come out since we announced it in October, and so I think that. Our goal, like I think we were talking about before the show, I don't know if you mentioned it on air, is to put out a new Galaxy's Edge book every 60 days. And if we can keep it up, and if people like what we put out there, I mean, no sense doing it if it's just going to sit on the shelf. But if people like it and we can keep it up, then I think we're definitely on pace to do it.
And for the viewers or listeners that might not understand what you're doing with the project, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So what we decided to do was create kind of a behind the scenes world for subscribers. So we've been writing these books here for a while, and we kind of announced the project in October of 2016 and said, hey, here's what we're doing. If you want to start reading it as we do it, there are some subscription options. So we have 3 levels of subscribers. A lot of people jumped on board, and so they already know a lot more. They've read much of the story already, but we have like basic subscribers that are just getting the chapters as we release them, which is typically 2 to 4 chapters a month. Although this month they're going to get absolutely blitzed. And then we have a mid-level that we call our special access group, and they get to listen in on a live podcast that we do. They get the chapters. Then they also get free ebook copies of the finished work. And we plan to price those. I think we haven't talked too much about pricing, but obviously our goal is for the subscribers to feel like it's a value. So we're going to price that appropriately. And then we have our partners, and they're kind of our premium level. We put a cap there. A few people said, well, can I give more? And we're like, no, we don't. We feel bad taking more than, it's like a $10 per month charge. And we said, we don't feel like we should charge more than that. Sometimes you see people that do Patreons and like, for my $200 level, you can come over and paint my nails. And we're just like, no, we're not going to ask people to spend $200 a month on this. We're awesome, but that's not that awesome.
$200 awesome.
I mean,
yeah, right, exactly. That's a whole lot of awesome. Or maybe we can point you to some charities that could use that money.
How about this? If you want to give him $200 and he doesn't want it,
right,
let's just say you can give it to us and we'll spend it on advertising for him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll just buy Keystroke Medium ad spots. That's a totally good plan. So those guys get this. They get like signed books. It's the only way they're going to get the print copies. And we kind of said, this is the only way we're going to give out signed books. We're not going to sell them in our store or anything. We're only going to ship them to our partner subscribers as the book's released. So anyway, that's what I mean when we talk about what's going on already. And then in June is when we're going to actually start releasing it on Amazon and putting it out there to a larger audience.
Are you going to go wide with it, or are you going to try to hit some KDP pages?
Yeah, we talked about going wide, and we actually had a good chat with Richard Fox. And the reality is that everybody is on Amazon, and so you end up leaving a lot of money on the table by going and leaving KDP out of the picture. So we figure we have a system in place because the subscribers get EPUB, PDF, just about every format that they can use. So there's a system in place through the subscription model to read it on any device. But we're not going to translate it over to the iBooks or anything like that. I think we're just going to go and stick with Amazon until one of those other stores says, we'll make it worth your while. Otherwise, you might as well stay where the money is.
Yeah. Well, I completely agree. For the genre, I believe you'll fall in. I think you get people that have your KU readers. You're looking for people that want to read multiple books a month. And if you read 10 books a month, it would be smart to be in KU. It'd be a good place to be. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's smart.
Yeah. That's what we're hoping, right? I mean, that's always the big hope. And you guys know, you launch a big book and you try to steel yourself. You have those dreams of like, oh, this is going to be huge, and I'm going to tell George R. R. Martin that he sucks, and because I have access to him now. And you balance that with I'm terrible and everything I do is terrible, and this is going to be a failure. And so, there's that.
You get on that creative artist or a creative person's roller coaster where your imagination can take you to the lofty heights.
Right.
Reality can kick your feet out from underneath you.
Right. You just write a book about all the things you imagine will happen with your next release.
No. That'd be great. Yeah.
It's it reminds me of that scene in Tangled where she's like, I'm the best person in the world, and I'm like, I'm the most horrible person in the world, and I'm like, oh, I'm so good, and I'm like, oh, I'm bad, and she's going back and forth.
That's
you have kids.
Movies. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I can't even get the TV off of the Disney Channel all day. I have to watch Doc McStuffins and Mickey Mouse and the Roadster Racers 25 hours a day. I can't. Every time I want to turn on the Fox News, I'll turn it on, and my daughter just runs in. She couldn't even watch a Disney Channel for 2 hours. She hasn't watched it, and I'll change the channel. She runs back in. No, Daddy, I don't want to watch the news.
Like she senses what's happened.
Yeah,
She senses danger.
I don't understand how a 2.5-year-old has control over everything. I don't understand how that works.
It's the power. It's like the Force.
It's nice call.
It's around us and binds us, and how's it go?
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
So you have 4 to 6 books planned in the arc that you have right now for Galaxy's Edge.
Right.
And those are just the combined books that you are, or is that with Legionnaire and Outlaws? How is that working?
Yeah, that'll be with Legionnaire also. So Legionnaire is the best way to describe it is like Stormtroopers meet Generation Kill. It was kind of the concept behind it. So it's written in the first person, and it's one Legionnaire, which are our Stormtroopers. Our Stormtroopers are a little bit different because they are actual special forces. Like they can hit targets. They're highly trained.
Start with the basics.
Yeah, they're not bonking their heads on doors. Nothing like that. We kind of wrote them to be a mix of SEALs, Delta, and Rangers, all at the same time in the way that they work in sort of the Republic's military system. So it's kind of a memoir type. Have you guys ever read a book called House to House? It is a really good memoir. I think David, I'll probably mispronounce his name, like Bolivia or something along those lines. But it's just his account of Fallujah, and it was fantastic. And I thought the only thing that could make this book better is if there were blaster rifles and stormtroopers. And so I thought, well, I'll write that. And and so that's what that book is. And so that has some characters and some events that matter later, but it takes place a few years before. We kind of say that if Afghanistan 2003, 2004, or 2003 Iraq, 2001 Afghanistan is relevant today to the way Legionnaire is relevant to Galactic Outlaws, the book that we were writing together.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's kind of like when the Legionnaires come home, we're going to find them interspersed throughout the rest of the world as Galactic Outlaws goes on.
I like it.
And you have plans to expand your world at some point with other writers coming into your universe and creating stories of their own, perhaps, or branching off of what you guys have already created.
Right.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, totally. So with the yes and model that we talked about, it doesn't necessarily have to be just Nick and I that does that. Really, anyone who wants to write in the world, with exceptions. I mean, we want people that have some writing chops to be able to do it, and not, fanfic can kind of stay on GeoCities or wherever. But
he said GeoCities.
I know, right? I'm assuming it's still rife with fanfic. It's just
that's awesome.
I had to think just for a second to remember what GeoCities is, but
yeah, I could have been cool and said Wattpad, but I write historical fiction, so I use dated comments.
Dated comments.
Boom.
But yeah, so right now I think what our plan is going to be is we're going to kind of start receiving a few more pitches. We've got a couple of really interesting stories that have been pitched to us already, and I'll just leave it at that instead of outing names. But what I think we'll do is work with them and release it to our subscribers first. Sort of say, okay, we're going to let the subscribers read this story and give us the feedback, and then if they say, yeah, this is great, we want to see this expanded, or we want to see this as its own series, then I think what we'll do is go through the next process, which involves getting them connected with our cover artist, with our editor, and then set them up to release. Our plan is not to make money off of other people's work. I mean, we obviously need to control the copyrights so that when Disney sues us, we can settle for everything. But the plan is, if we find a book and it goes through that subscription process, and the subscribers are like, absolutely put this as part of an anthology, or absolutely more books like this, release it, get me a print copy, to the author goes all the royalties in our minds. We don't want to make money off of people. We want them to have fun. So maybe a Kindle Worlds that's not run through Kindle unless Amazon comes and makes us an offer we can't, we can't refuse.
There's a whole bunch of money taken. You're like, no, I'm doing it on my own. No, take this money.
We have principles. No, we don't.
Your piles of money is so annoying. Stop throwing that money at us.
Stop throwing it at me.
Straight Joker and just light it.
Some guys just want to see the world burn. God, that was a horrible Joker impression.
But you went for it. I think it's good because you went for it.
Well, we're at the halfway point now, and I'd like to talk a little bit about a little bit more about that, and then I'd like to talk about Sci-Fi Bridge too, and what you guys have going on there. But I want to mention our show sponsor for this episode, which is I lost it. BZ Hercules. Woo! Man, and we even have our own URL this time, and I still mess it up. Viewers of the show, you can go to this link. It is www.keystrokemedium.com/BZ Hercules. It's super easy, way easier than the last time I did it. And you can get a 15% discount off all editing, proofing, triangulation services, and more if you go there. We also have received and are working on getting the dates and shows pinned out on the first couple of sponsors. Our sponsorship program launched a couple weeks ago. And if you're interested in sponsoring an episode, we have extremely reasonable rates. And we already have some people jumping on to get some shows sponsored. So if you're interested in that, you can check out our sponsorship program link on our website. And also, I want to, this was not planned and it's not in the script, but I'm going to give a big shout out to Lauren Moore, who approached Scott, and is doing us a solid and a very awesome job of tracking the show notes.
The crazy stuff we talk about and turning it into an actual readable post-show blog article of some sort.
So the blog post that Scott and I have just kind of pieced together over the last year will now be written, produced by Lauren, and I can't thank her enough for that. She's really awesome for doing that.
It's fun to get some, the interaction and kind of, the community we got going here is just so cool.
Everybody clap for Lauren. I'm kicking you out of the live chat.
Big hand for Lauren. Of course, you can't clap on. It's just not as impressive without 100 people in the room. But there are 100 people in the room. You just can't hear them all.
That's right. So about the writers and getting the writing in the Galaxy's Edge world, how would you prefer people to go about that? What's your process now to kind of vet those?
At this point, they should probably just email us or message us. I think Nick and I are pretty accessible either on social media or through email. So, if we reach a point where so much comes in that we can't handle it, we'll change it. But for now, you probably already know us somewhat or are familiar with one of us. So just shoot us a message. We're not that type. They're going to, ignore anybody. So, I think that'd be great. Or if they just want to talk to you guys and then you guys can just play bouncer for us, that'd be fine too.
Oh yeah.
We're the consigliere.
Yeah.
But you got to say it you got to roll the R, don't you?
I can't.
I think I messed it up.
Yeah. That's definitely take some language, do some audio language tapes or something before we start to pronounce crazy words on there. I'm telling you.
Ridiculous what just happened. I rolled my R and I don't even know why I rolled it. I don't even think it was necessary.
I think it's always necessary.
Since it's May the 4th, can I address a comment that's in the chat log?
Absolutely, yes, you can.
Do it.
So someone's bringing up what's a valid theory about the Stormtroopers, and it's up there, so I forget who said it, so my apologies, but about how the Stormtroopers are actually pretty good, Ewok losing aside, because they let the Falcon go in A New Hope so that Vader could track them to the Rebel base. And I think that was a fine theory until Rogue One came out, and you just saw how Stormtrooper detachment after Stormtrooper detachment just got absolutely wrecked by these rebels, like completely destroyed. So I feel like it's still valid that these Stormtroopers can't hang. Like a shuttle's worth of rebels went in, and just completely took down an entire Imperial base that just happened to be the building site of the Death Star.
I think
so I'm going to stand by that.
I think we need an episode in the Star Wars universe that just strictly deals with like budget cuts and micromanagement and all the bureaucratic BS that is making the Stormtroopers not as good as they should be. Because
no, but it's a valid point.
Because
it's a valid point because you go from the Clone Wars and you had Stormtroopers there, and then you go all the way through 4, 5, and 6, and through Rogue One, and then you get to Force Awakens, and they still suck. Right. And they're like, there's no. You would think after all that time, that somebody would say, we should do something about your shooting skills.
I'm not sure we're getting what we paid for with these Stormtroopers, and plus they're all supposed to be like a million Boba Fett's or Jango Fett's or whatever. Right. So they should be like laying waste to the universe. I mean, really.
Well, sure. Well, and even tactically, you look at those battles from the Clone Wars, and it's like there's just a wall of laser fire coming from these battle droids, and their tactic is to just stand there like it's the Civil War and inch forward, shooting lasers back at the robot. So it's like, what are we really dealing with here?
And I love in Force Awakens where the I don't even know what the Admiral's name is, but he gets the crazy eyes when he does his little speech before they launch the Death Star. That's not the Death Star when they fire it.
Death Star, not Death Star.
Yeah. Right.
And he's like, oh, when he's talking about, what is he talking about? He's talking to Kylo Ren, and he's like, oh, they're like superior trained forces, and they were bred from life to be these badass troopers, and they're still not, though. Well, like, they're not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, they're not.
Otherwise, there'd be the Spartans with their shields or something.
Yeah. No, they weren't that at all.
I think that we're trying to tear down the Stormtroopers. I think that actually we are not giving the Ewoks enough credit, because I think the Ewoks demoralized them, ruined their self-confidence, and after that it was just downhill.
But they're so cute.
Yeah, because it's not that we should be driving the Stormtroopers down and talking them down. We should be talking the Ewoks up. The Ewoks are actually the hidden heroes in this universe.
Fierce cannibal warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get any support on that.
I don't think you will.
I'd throw it out there though.
On a side note, did you guys all see the Dark Tower trailer that came out?
Oh, yes.
This week. I want to do a complete YouTube video on this, but everybody's like, and I felt the same way when it came out. Did you guys read it? Did you guys read the book, the Dark Tower books?
I like the book a lot.
So I've read the whole series twice, and when they first came out, that said, what's his name, Idris Elba? I can't pronounce his name. The black dude that's playing Roland in the movie. I was mad, not because there was a black dude playing Roland, but because in the books he was white, and it changes the dynamic between him and the chick in the wheelchair. What's the chick in the wheelchair's name?
Oh, it's been a few years since I read it.
I think actually that's what Stephen King wrote. Chick in the wheelchair.
It's Susanna.
Susanna. Yeah,
it's
Susanna.
the song of Susanna. Susanna is the and she has the multiple personalities. She's the only one that can keep the junkie Eddie in line.
Right. Well, see, and so I was really upset when that came out, because I was like, oh, that changes the whole thing, because that's the dynamic of the book. Like, that made the Dark Tower, that character dynamic, and you can't reverse it. If you reverse it,
but you can't reverse the movie, they may not even have that whole storyline.
But that's the thing. That's the thing that's just so brilliant about this movie, is that it's not a retelling. It's not a retelling, and it's not the same story. It's because if you read the Dark Tower from end to beginning, spoiler alert. Now wait for a couple seconds if you want to turn this thing off and not watch for the spoiler alert, because it's coming. If you read it from the beginning to the end, it's a loop. So when you finish the Dark Tower, it starts the gunslinger over again. But every time he goes through the loop, something changes. Mm-hmm. So when you read the whole series, he's talking about the Horn of Eld that he lost on the Battle of Jericho Hill or wherever, where Cuthbert dies and they lose the horn. Mm-hmm. But when he starts over at the end of the Dark Tower, he's got the horn. And so it's going to change the entire thing. And so, yeah, I don't know how they're going to get away with the whole Black Gunslinger thing. I don't really care about that, but it's a whole different thing. It's not a retelling. It's not anything. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with it.
I think the best movies for adaptations are not faithful retellings of the book. They're based on the book, because you can't put a book. They're different mediums and they shouldn't be treated the same. I read a big discussion about it someplace. I wish I could remember where to cite it, but if you really look at a successful movie made it from a book, they don't go right down the plot points of the book, because it's just not the same, and it should be more inspired by than a copy of, in my opinion. And
no, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah. No, I mean, you've only got 120 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember I first thought about that when I listened to Clear and Present Danger, an audiobook, and it was 24 hours long. And then I watched the movie, and the movie's like 2 hours long. I'm like, they had to cut some stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Or they could do like The Hobbit, and actually out Hobbit the Hobbit, and that worked out really well.
Well done. If you couldn't make the exact opposite, I was trying to figure out how you're going to do it. The exact opposite point that Scott just made, you did it very well.
Yeah.
Because I completely agree. Why would you do?
Yeah, I'm still bitter about that. So it's just.
But no. But you have a point. Why would you take that book that could have been a great movie and then just stretch it into a trilogy?
Right.
Well, I know why they did it, because it was movies, money. But
sure.
Yeah, I'm butthurt about that too. I'm right there with you, man.
I mean, I feel like they could have given us 9 Lord of the Rings movies, and I'd have been a little bit happier than the 3 Hobbit movies. And really, what have they done? What has the cast done since Lord of the Rings? They should have just signed lifetime contracts and given us about 20 movies. That'd have been way better.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with that.
They could be on Lord of the Rings welfare as actors,
Right? Yeah, I mean,
just keep me employed forever.
Yeah,
that's what I need. Not a bad idea, because So,
well, we're kind of off topic, which is kind of what we do here. But getting back to some of your stuff, Jason, you and a couple other authors have started Sci-Fi Bridge.
Oh yeah,
which is done phenomenally well that I can see that. And I just saw on the Facebook group today that there's 100 authors now in the program. Would you like to talk a little bit about the program and what you guys do and what it's all about?
Yeah. So there's 2 other authors, Rhett Bruno, who I think if he hasn't already been on your show, I think he's going to be on soon, right?
He will be on next Thursday.
Okay. Next Thursday. So Rhett Bruno and Chris Porteau brought me in. So I think they had been talking at first together. So we were trying to think of a way that we could have better reach in marketing to like actual readers without having to drop, $700, $800 for BookBub, or spend $90, $60, $90 to opt into a contest where most of the people are just trying to get free stuff and they could care less about what you're actually doing. So we put together this idea of Sci-Fi Bridge and got a very stereotypical view where, we're kind of the captains and we're trying to connect sci-fi readers with new sci-fi authors. And so we held a contest, but instead of just sort of spamming it out there for anyone who just wanted to get in on a deal, we started recruiting authors, science fiction authors, traditionally published authors, indie authors, authors with huge reach, authors with, 20 people on their mailing list. In the beginning, we were just saying, hey, let's see how this works. So we held a contest. We gave everybody like 3 books, and then some grand prize winners would win like 25 ebooks and like a 20 book package of signed books. But the whole point was to get people who were interested in reading. And so they then went on a master list. Some of them also opted in to join other author email lists. And right from the start, we were getting list growth that was comparable to some of the author marketing platforms out there that, say, hey, you can be in my, romance novel mystery book and you buy $60 and I'll give you a list of authors. We were getting those kind of numbers from the start. And then we were mailing that master list with what we call spotlight deals. Just here's an author, here's a Richard Fox. I don't know if we did one for Fox or not, but here's some authors. Jay Allen, I think, was one of the early ones. And if you're looking to read more books, check it out. And they just started responding like strongly, to the point where within a couple of weeks, we were hearing that we were outperforming Book Barbarian and a whole bunch of other pay to play groups.
Wow.
And so, yeah, we've just kind of kept that alive, tried to add more authors and keep it manageable, because, you know, it does reach a point where there's just too many people, too many releases to keep it going. But that's the basic concept of it, is just authors helping authors. And we fund it by the affiliates that come through on the 99-cent book sales, just to pay the overhead, and it's just enough to pay overhead. And that's kind of how we've been running it at this point. We're starting to get a lot of people asking, how much does it cost? And we're not prepared for that, because, you know, to this point, we've just been trying to just help out the people that helped us out. But yeah, it's just a collective. Without being a co-op, it's a cooperative marketing campaign, and it seems to be working out really well.
So for authors that are looking to get on the list, it's a free, you don't have to pay to be on it. You don't have to pay for, if you have a release, you don't have to pay for that. You just say, hey, I'm having a release this day, and as long as it jives with what you guys have going on. Or how do you schedule that kind of stuff? Yeah,
we schedule it in advance. You know, people will say, I've got this book coming out, and then we just kind of lock it up. We don't oversaturate. You know, you get a BookBub ad, and you're maybe like one of 7 or 8 books, and so hopefully you have good placement. So we just kind of, it's one newsletter, one deal, and we do that twice a week, I think. And yeah, so that's generally how it works. We've gotten more selective, kind of out of, like I said, out of necessity, because you guys probably know, having your own show, there's no shortage of people that will gladly let you help them reach an audience, but aren't really willing or able to do anything on their own. You know, we have people that, hey, I'm going to write a book in a couple of years, and when I do, so let me in now. And it's like, well, that's, you know, good luck, and come back to us then. But yeah, we've been happy with the results, and it's just one of those. I didn't come up with it, so I'll say inspired ideas that just hit readers correctly and hit authors correctly. And so now we've got a nice collective of traditionally published science fiction authors and indie science fiction authors that are just kind of working together to get the word out about some good things to read.
I have to admit that when I first saw the Sci-Fi Bridge, this is how dumb I am. When I first saw Sci-Fi Bridge, I was like, Sci-Fi Bridge, is that like a bridge across?
What are they bridging it to?
Stars?
Is it a bridge over troubled waters?
Are they?
Yeah.
And then I don't even know who said something, but somebody was like, you know, like the Enterprise Bridge. And I'm like, oh God, I'm such an idiot. What a, like, it's so dumb. Like, of course it's a bridge. It's on a starship. I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Well, you know, we had that discussion, because there's the people that are sci-fi, maybe with like a Star Trek heavy background, and the people that are sci-fi with more of a Star Wars background like me. And so yeah, when you hear bridge and you're a Star Trek fan, the light bulb goes off instantly.
Yeah. I didn't get it until you started talking about it on this show, even though we've been talking about Sci-Fi Bridge for a long time. I was like, oh yeah, I'm probably not going to bring that up. And then I bring it up because that's what I do. Go ahead.
Well, and you know, it's also a bridge to the reader from authors, so it works on so many levels.
Right. I think it's very clever, and that's how I initially thought it was, a bridge to readers to writers.
Right.
So, in my defense,
you got to have it, right. You get all the subtleties, but you got it. You got the idea.
Right. But I think it's cool. I'd like to be on an actual sci-fi bridge. That'd be cool.
It's like the bridge in Thor, where that dude with the big sword is guarding wherever you have to go. I don't even know what it's called.
I don't want to be I don't want to be a red shirt though on the Sci-Fi Bridge, because you don't want to get axed, blasted through the the computer terminal that nobody bothers to wear a seatbelt or control the atmosphere before they get blown up.
Right at the airlock.
Yeah, I like that. Michael Cooper says Jason is Grand Moff Tarkin. I like that.
Yeah, I tried
with no CGI though.
There you go.
But you guys are also, on top of your email list marketing campaigns that you do on Facebook and whatever, you have an anthology that you have already out, right? You have volume 1 out, is that right?
Yeah, right. And that's just an anthology of reprints. And this is kind of how all the authors working together make it so great. So we said, hey, we just want to get the word out and help this list grow, and it benefits everybody, because the bigger the list is, the more interested readers there are, the more likely they're going to be to help you on your launch. And so we got permission to reprint a lot of short stories from some pretty big authors. We put it out there and put it at 99 cents just to bring in a little bit of money to help pay, because you don't realize it when you're smaller as an author, but once a mailing list gets really big, it's like expensive every month to maintain it and start sending that out. And so the money helps go towards that, but it also introduces kind of our natural demographic in science fiction readers to the whole process and drives people to then join the Sci-Fi Bridge list and start getting spotlight deals. And so there's going to be a second one coming out here, I would say within the next month, along the same lines. But these are just really cool science fiction authors coming together and saying, this is a great idea, let's make it work. And a lot of people, they've already made it. People didn't need us, and certainly didn't need some of the people in the group. They can email their list and get 2,000 sales without trouble anytime they launch. But
you've got
that desire.
I mean, you've got a huge on just your first anthology alone, and I'm just going to mention a couple of names. You've got Daniel Aronson, who's got a huge following. Jennifer Fainer-Wells, we've had on the show before. She's a fantastic author. Holland Bollier, Jasper T. Scott, just a crap ton of names that and a forward by Samuel Peralta, who we have also had on the show, and he does his own Future Chronicles stuff.
The amazing Samuel Peralta,
right?
Who I might add had the top spot in our videos views per video. It was Sam Peralta's show for like 6 months, and now it's Dennis E. Taylor.
Nice.
Dennis E. Taylor has blown everybody out of the water. I think
he's got something. He got some sort of magic stuff going there.
Yeah.
He really does.
Did you guys misspell some keywords? Are people looking for something else?
Yeah.
Well, I think actually I know what it is that he'd never done any interviews before. So that was his first interview ever. Yeah. So if you Google him for an interview, we were the only one. And now Preston Lay from 30-Minute Author Interviews, he has one with Dennis Taylor. But as far as I know, there's only 2 that I can find. So whenever you Google Dennis E. Taylor interview, ours come up. So boom.
So thank you, Dennis E. Taylor, for coming on the show.
Repping Keystroke Medium. What? Speaking of repping Keystroke Medium, there's been a lot of people asking about the hats. There's been a lot of people asking about
there's been some nasty accusations about the hats too.
Yes.
They're not CGI, they're actually real hats.
So this hat in particular, we haven't found out a way to sell directly, but if you are interested in buying a hat, you can send us an email, send me a message. The hats are $22.25 off of Vistaprints. They're kind of pricey. And I guess
extremely comfortable though.
They are. This is probably my favorite hat, comfortable wise. And JR, yes, I know about the helmets. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do helmets. I don't know.
I would wear a helmet if you make me a Keystroke helmet on here.
I mean, I'd wear it. I just don't know who we're going to get to. Maybe the guy you're getting to do the blaster could make a helmet, Jason. I don't know if he does helmets as well, but
he probably has the capability of doing it. He's a really talented guy.
Because you could have your mic all boomed into the helmet and everything. It'd be like the ultimate podcaster geek device.
It's not bad. I can hook him up with you because I think after he puts out these blasters, he's going to formally start his company. So,
nice.
You guys want to get those helmets?
Yeah, let's get helmets.
Medium helmets. Go for
helmets. So yeah, if you want this hat, $22.25, and I'll put the price in the video description or on the website. You can just send me an email, drop me a line, hit me on Facebook, whatever, and I'll
put some
make an order.
And stuff on there too.
We are doing some Cafe Press stuff here soon for t-shirts. And
I got sidetracked.
All that stuff, but we are coming to the end of the hour, and it's been a fantastic conversation with Jason Anspach. For those of you who are watching in the live chat and just completely going nuts. Thanks for coming and joining us. Jason, can you tell us where our listeners and viewers can find more about you and your writing?
Yeah, so if you want to find out about me, you can go to jasonanspach.com to my website. And that one, is what it is. Typical author website. It's got some really pretty art from my cover artist, Mike Corley, there on the front. So there's that. If you'd like to just skip my comedy, paranormal, noir, historical detective side of writing. And if that's not your bag and you just want to get into blasters and pew pew, you should go to galacticoutlaws.com or starwarsnotstarwars.com, our other sort of marketing ploy. We're banking on Disney screwing up Star Wars and getting people to look for Star Wars, but not Star Wars. And then we're just going to kind of
high
slide
probability that could happen.
Used car salesman.
Was I the only one that was slightly disappointed for episode's 8 trailer? Were you guys disappointed? Or you guys, what do you guys think?
Yeah, that was the first thing I texted my brother was, I guess there's some potential, but that really didn't get me going.
Yeah.
Maybe if you watch it after taking like way too much Sudafed and other cold medicine.
How does that work for you?
That's going to work good for me, I tell you.
You know, actually, I saw a cool thing for the episodes, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi trailers. If you watch them side by side, that they're almost the first trailers, the first teasers, and there's actually a video on YouTube where you can watch both of them at the same time. They're almost identical in timing.
Right.
From music and scenes and the way things happen. I thought that was kind of neat, but the trailer itself really didn't do a whole lot for me at all.
You know, I'm not sure I've even seen it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
what's the chrome kind of stormtrooper, Captain
Phasma?
Captain Phasma. I just want to see more Captain Phasma developed in the next one. Is that going to happen or not?
I think she's going to be in it. I feel like she should have probably died in the garbage disposal when the planet blew up, but you know, whatever.
I read I think you're the one who sent us to the article about why Captain Phasma was never as cool as Boba Fett.
So no, I don't think that was me. Was that Josh?
It was a good article, and it made me think that character has so much potential that was just so badly mishandled. So I'm holding out for a comeback.
No, but it makes sense that they would just kind of copy the last trailer, because episode 7 basically just copied episode 4. So let's be honest, right?
Well played, sir. Well played. Because it's true.
Yeah, but they knew that's what us old guys
some
wanted.
lockup going on there. I hope that wasn't my fault.
I wonder if they're gonna try to do like Empire was the best of the original trilogy, so now they're gonna like push and force feed The Last Jedi as the best one of this trilogy. You know what I mean? Like the second one's always the best one. I don't know about that.
That's a lot of pressure, right?
It is. It is. Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna give them my money anyway. I'm gonna go on opening night. I'm gonna be there at midnight with my kids. So,
I'm gonna see it in IMAX 3D because that's what I do.
Yeah, they're going to get way too much money from me.
Yeah,
as much as I complain.
I'm going to go watch it in my Keystroke Medium hat. So
I know we say it should probably be a Keystroke Medium live event. I mean,
could we write that off as a business expense? Like it's research.
We can do like a podcast from the parking lot there, and then we can go in and watch the movie and come out.
We could do a live podcast from inside the movie while it's playing.
No, because they got security there. And last time I was there, and I know those security guys. They're not. You can't take.
Just tell them that you're doing a reaction video, just a really long reaction video.
A man on the street.
Like we're doing a reaction video of the whole movie, and they're just like this.
We should. So seriously, do like a interview people when they're coming out.
I'm down for that.
Say, hey, you want to be on Keystroke Medium? What'd you think about the movie?
Like, get away from me, you crazy person with a cell phone.
Yeah,
they'll start talking.
Yes.
An official looking hat. No, they're going to talk. Everyone.
Well, everybody that came and hung out with us tonight, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been a blast as always. Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you taking up the time to come and hang out with us.
Yeah. And you know what? What I'll do is for the people that are hanging out, I'll drop a link in the chat window for all you people that are hanging out that will get you that part 1 of Galactic Outlaws. So if you'd like to see what that's like, you can go ahead and click the link and find out for yourself. But I mean, I think it's pretty good.
You might have to send that to Josh.
If it doesn't work, send me a messenger and I'll drop it.
I'm just going to give it to Josh. So forget that part. We had straight to Josh.
We had, because Josh can, since he's hosting this or open this up, he can put links in, but none of the rest of us can.
That kind of makes sense.
I have the power.
The power. Cosmic, phenomenal,
Phenomenal
cosmic power.
See, and this is why I said last week, if you're not in the live chat, you need to be in the live chat, because now the live chat's getting stuff this time.
Getting some swag.
So if you're listening on the Audible podcast, and you're not in the live chat, you have just missed out on the best thing ever. So there you go. The link is in the live chat. You can follow that link and get your free copy of Galactic Outlaws Part 1. I love the multicolored cover in that deal. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have no idea if that's going to be the final thing. It's just what we're going with because that's what we've got so far.
Speaking of which, you sent me the cover for Legionnaires. Would you like me to share that?
Yeah, you guys could be the debuter of that cover.
Right.
And our subscribers have seen it. Everyone else has seen it.
Okay, here we go, guys. First on Keystroke Medium, you saw it here. This is the cover for Galaxy's Edge Legionnaire. I don't know why it's so hard for me to say this.
Yeah, I know. We didn't do any test groups, so we might have just picked a really bad name.
It's a tongue twister.
Say this 3 times fast. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that was a great artist. That Steve, how do I pronounce his last name? Bowler. Steve the Bowler told me about this guy, and he just did amazing work, and we're really happy with what turned up.
I think it's first of all, I think it's awesome that it looks like a Stormtrooper, but it is not a Stormtrooper.
And that's tough to do, man.
Because
I had an early concept and I showed it to people and I thought it was great. And they're like, it's Master Chief. And I was like, oh, it is Master Chief. And so we had to change it around. But I feel like we were able to get our own Stormtrooper that's not a Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper, not Stormtrooper.
Well, he's holding his carbine there. I mean, that looks actual tactical. And I think the ragged looking cloak gives him a little bit. That kind of takes him a little bit away from the Stormtrooper while still being reminiscent, I guess.
No, trigger discipline is huge. I tell all my cover artists that trigger discipline.
Don't do that.
And then I just said Stormtroopers and Afghanistan veterans, and so that's kind of how he came up with this design here.
That is scarf around the neck. Super cool. Yeah. Oh yeah, the scarf around the neck. Nicely done. I like that.
Yep.
Very nice.
We're pleased with it.
And so that one, the Legionnaires is coming out June 1st, and then Galactic Outlaws, which the cover is not finished completely, but the first part is out. The whole novel will be available July 1st, or thereabouts on Amazon.
Yeah.
I just want to I'll give you a little shout out before we leave here. I have read the first part of Galactic Outlaws, and I absolutely love it. I've read it twice, and from someone who loves Star Wars, you can read this book, and it is definitely not Star Wars, but it is Star Wars. So # whatever it is.
Star Wars, not Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars, not Star Wars. Read the book. If you love Star Wars, you'll love this book. You'll love the characters, and it has. There's so much. There's the Han Solo character. There's the bounty hunter character, and they're written very well. And I think when the whole thing is said and done, it's going to be one of my favorite books of 2017. I'm just going to throw it out there, just right now. I'm going to throw it out there.
I think that that's absolutely true. It's probably the best book that's ever been written. I mean, it's not finished, but I don't feel like that's going too far or arrogant in any way.
Yeah.
It's I think that 300 years from now, they'll be talking about this book in a good way.
That's right.
Yeah. It's going to represent our society when there's literally nothing else left. It's the only thing that's survived.
Some guy's got a paperback signed copy of Galactic Outlaws, and he's like, I've got it.
Right, yeah. A partner subscriber. It grants immortality, which is the other big perk for signing up at that high level.
Nice. Oh, man. Well, Jason, thanks again for coming and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us in the chat. Let us know what you thought about the show in the comments below the video. Give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Next week, we have Armand Rosamilia on live on Monday morning, and then Thursday Night Live will feature Rhett Bruno, who is a partner in Sci-Fi Bridge as well, the author of Titanborn and a couple other really good sci-fi novels. So for Scott Moon, I am Josh Hayes. We have been live with Jason Anspach on this Thursday night. Make sure you come back next week and join us while we talk about reading, writing, and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. You guys have a great night.